can't see everybody, but Lisa, can you see the screen? If you can give me a thumbs up if you're good. Okay, great. And if you want to mute for help, that's sometimes helpful. We've got a lot of people on the call. So if you want to mute yourself and you have a question, just put it in the chat and then I'll address it later. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. I am logged in as Abraham Lincoln or Christian Rivers. And Christian Rivers has basic access that most staff have. So 95% of our staff are going to have the access that Christian has. So I'm going to go ahead. We've got a new little icon here. This is the events icon. This is where all of event registrations will be located. Every staff member will have access to the templates. So the templates are where we have started to curate and collect the forms that we feel like we're trying to get in here before we go live with production. With that being said, I will say that right now we're saying that May 8th, we are going to tell all of our staff that they are not going to be allowed to edit anything in Podio, InSync, Group Life, any of the other systems that we're using. You can go into those systems and actually get information from them. But from May 8th to May 25th, I believe, I can't remember exactly. I think that's May 25th. We're going to be working on getting everything uploaded into production. So what's in our templates right now is what's going to go into production. And Marissa is helping me, and other people are helping me kind of make sure that we have all the templates that we need. So we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to get templates, but for right now, these are all of the templates. So if you click on one of these sideways triangles, arrows, whatever you want to call it, they will take you to the template. So these are folders. If you were to go to membership and you were to click on, there are two templates in here, one discovery and one foundations. Discovery template, if you do click on the template, you'll be able to see, you can click on this little drop down arrow and you can see the questions that we're asking on the form. So that's one thing that you'll be able to see if you're trying to create a new event registration or you're thinking that you need to do one, then you can always come to a template and look and see what you're actually adding on that as well. All right, question, does the Podio shut down including workspaces that are, whoops, that went away quickly. Someone had a question about Podio. Does the Podio shutdown include workspaces that are not being moved to Rock? The question is that the answer to that is worship. So worship coordinator, social media. No, you'll still be able to use those and you can still update those. Just anything that has people data. If you are updating an address or you're updating a phone number or you have a new email or someone else has come to our church brand new, just do not add that or edit anything in Podio on the People app. Just put it on a Google form, a Google document right now. Keep track of that until we go live. We'll manually add that after we go live. Okay, does that make sense? Lisa, give me a thumbs up if it makes sense to you. Good. Okay. All right, so going back to these templates, underneath the template, you'll see all of the instances that template is being used. So if you were to look at this one, for instance, this Anderson Discovery membership that Amy Ramaska and I made yesterday, you could click on that instance and it's actually going to take you to the registration instance. This is going to be your favorite tool. This is going to be your favorite little space that you're going to go to as an admin, because this is where all of your people are going to register. This is where if they're paying for the registration, if you're collecting any sort of money for an event registration, it's all going to be added here into these areas. So for fun, let's go ahead and do this real quick. I'm going to go get this slug. Okay. And I'm going to go click on this link. I'm going to go rock registration, /registration, and I'm going to take the slug that we created so that you guys can go register for this real quick. So let me go chat this link to you, and if I could get a couple of you to go ahead and register for this event, you'll click on the link and you'll be able to click next. and you'll see these are all of the questions that we're asking. You can see that if this is you, Lisa, for instance, Lisa Urban, let's say you clicked on that, you probably would see all of your family in here as well. So if you were to go to the previous and you decided to click on 2 people, you could click next, register for the first person, say, you know, Lisa Urban, and then you'd go next and you'd register. I believe your husband's name is Chris. Is that right? You could do that if you wanted. So that's kind of how the registration form works. So not a bunch of you, not all have to do this, but I'm going to go over here to registrations. Okay, so you can stop now if we've got enough right now. So you can see for registrations, this is everybody that is registered so far. The registrants is the section where you're going to see all of the questions that they've answered. So marital status, you know, how long have you been attending, all of the questions that we've kind of cultivated from this form. If there was a payment, you'd see who owes money or who has paid. There wasn't to this one. Fees, if there is a fee or cost, like a t-shirt fee or something like that. Any discounts, which we didn't have on this one. And then this linkages is how you would be able to find the unique URL slug. We're going to talk about this later. A URL slug, the best way for me to explain it is just you need that to be in the link in order to connect people to a group. So if we were to go back over here to Rock and we were to go to membership groups where this event registration is connected, and then we go to, I think it was Anderson. I think this is where we were playing around with this the other day. Let's see, Anderson membership, was this it? Let me go look. Test for Amy. I'll just click on the group. Actually, it's right here. That would have been helpful to do. Okay, membership. You can see this one was the one that we did, test for Amy. So you can see all of the people that registered for that event registration. They're also in this group. And this is be really helpful because this is where you're going to track your attendance. This would be where you might want to communicate with your people and so forth. So does anybody have any questions really quick about that? If you think about a big funnel, okay, and you think about a big funnel of all the ways that people get connected into Rock, event registrations is one of those big areas. An interest form or a baptism form, that's going to be a way that people get into the funnel, but they're going to go into connections. And then you've got like applications, student applications, mosaic application. That's another way in the big part of the funnel that people are going to get plugged into Rock, but they're just going to be on, like, the information that we're curating is going to live on their person record in the application section. So we'll learn more about this. Hopefully you've kind of seen that through the videos. But an event registration, you only want to use an event registration when you know that there's a date associated to it. Like, you're registering people to come to this thing and there is a date associated to it. If you need to track attendance, then you would probably want to associate a group to it. And we'll talk about that in a minute about how to do that. But with forms, like, you might not have a date attached to like a baptism form or a serving interest form. Like, that's just something that we're trying to just get interest from. And then those go into connection. So we're using all of these tools to kind of help, you know, make sure we know where people are connected to our church. But that's really how the event registration piece works. So coming back to this, going to this templates, you know, you just kind of saw an example of the membership template, the discovery. You saw an occurrence that we had, and you can see this is a current occurrence that right now is live until August 10th, and there's 5 people in it. So this is one way that you would be able to find it, and so forth. So that's one thing that everybody would be able to have access to. The other thing is the event registration form. So this is going to be the way that most of our staff, and maybe even some of you, try to create a template. That would be one way for me to explain this. So we've got 1,500 WUFU forms, which are crazy. and we don't know all the ones that are currently needed. So we're kind of going online and we're looking and seeing what are event registrations that are out now, and we're trying to make templates for those to anticipate your needs. But there's going to be a moment where you're like, I need to do a campus gathering. And where's the template for that, right? And so if you come to the event templates and you don't know where that is because we haven't really figured out that yet, then what you would end up doing is you would come to the event registration form and you would fill this form out. Now, this form is owned by the Rock admin team, and I'm going to walk you through the process of this. I've got a couple videos that I'll share with you later, but this event registration form is going to be how you would get that started. Does that make sense? You guys good? Okay, so let's, the last one I want to show before I fill out the event registration is the event calendar. The event calendar, I'm hoping, is going to replace the Podio calendar. And you can click on campuses and you could choose Anderson and you could see what's available. Most of these are actually Anderson. And then you can change dates if you want to, change dates here and go through a filter and hit refresh. You'd see what's currently available. So right now, the way that this is being used is based off of the count of the calendars that we have. And I'm going to show you that in a minute when we start working through, I'm sorry, not calendars, but campuses. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. So this is still a work in progress, but the goal would be is that everything would live here. Does that make sense? Okay. So you're still, so let's give a good example of this. Let's say the first step you're going to do, you decide in staff meeting that you're going to do a campus gathering. We're going to use that as an example. And we need to go get this set up so that we can have registration. We need to get a room. Do we need to get a room? All those different things. Well, the first thing you do is you go to eSpace and you get approval to do that, especially if you needed a room. And then once you get approval in eSpace, you're going to come to the event registration. So let's go ahead and fill this out as an example. We can do that, and I'll show you kind of what the next process is. So what's the name of the event? We'll do campus gathering. We'll do Anderson campus gathering. Please provide a paragraph explaining the details of the event, what's happening, what will participants be doing, what can participants expect. So this is helpful in knowing maybe some of the questions that we could help you anticipate. You might have some questions that you want to ask in the event, but it's just helpful to know what this is. So, this is a gathering. Bob, I'm not going to go crazy, guys, here. And I'm just going to put that for right now. Who is the event registration owner? So this would be you. So events need to be owned by a person. All events are owned by a person. A group is owned by a person. Connections is owned by a person. So there's no we're not going to have this email, like we have a campus admin email that goes to people. We're not going to create that in Rock here and have the campus admin own this. We're going to add you to that. So in this case, because this is Christian Rivers, I'm going to go ahead and just put him on here. But if this was you, if this was Lisa, if this was you, you would put your name here and add that. When does the event start? We're going to say that this starts on the 31st, and I'm going to say it's at 4 p.m. Is the event campus-specific event or central event? This is a campus-specific. I'm going to go do this. Let's just do it at Greer. When the reason that we have this central event here is that we are going to send an email to different individuals like Missy, Angie, Sherry. There's a handful of people that just need to be notified of central events. And so whenever you click this central event, that just means that they're getting an email. So it's really helpful for them so that they're not necessarily needing to edit or change anything. They just need to be aware of it. And they should be aware of it because it's on eSpace. But this is a secondary step just to make sure things don't fall through the cracks. But there's a campus specific. I'm going to say this is Greer. Okay. So where will the event take place? Please make sure you have the correct approvals in eSpace. So these are all of the locations that we have added and from Jennings, from from facilities. So these are all of the, and we've worked really hard with children's ministry to make sure we have all these locations. So like all of the rooms that kids get checked into, all of the rooms that facilities might have, you know, this drop down list is all available. So I'm just going to choose this room. This is going to be helpful for check-in later if you want to do check-in. And then what is the ministry that is hosting this event? So I'm just going to say group life. And then what other information do we want to gather about registrants? Please spend some time thinking about this. Once the registration has begun, additional information is difficult to gather. Example, information about parents, spouses, or children, or who wouldn't individually register, t-shirt sizes, stuff like that. So if you have questions that you know that you want to ask, like add them here as you can. And then we're going to make the template for you and build this thing out. So I don't have any other special questions, but you know, if I said, you know, favorite color, for some reason, I want to know everybody's favorite color. That's like, I don't even know why that's an example, but I'm just going to put it there. For the following questions regarding cost, these items will be paid for as part of registration. If you want to take money at the time of the event, please answer no and describe that in the paragraph above. Will money be collected during registration, whether mandatory or optional? So I'm going to say no. Actually, I'm going to say yes, because I think in one of our campus gatherings, at least the one that I was working on with Allison, there was a suggested cost that you could give. Let me pause here for a moment and talk a little bit about giving with donations. I've noticed this with a lot of some of our ministries, especially with care and recovery, that some care and recovery, they don't want people to feel like they can't come to the event. So they like to have an option that you don't have to pay. And so it's a different in Rock in doing that the way that we've done it in WUFU or other systems, because when someone gives in an event registration, it shows up in their giving. So there's not like a special donation field where people can contribute or purchase on behalf of other people. So we add a section down here that says, do you want to prohibit registrants from having to pay to register? If so, we will add a note to the registration following that says, we do not want this cost to prohibit you from attending. Choose the amount you want to pay below. So if you tell us that this is a $5 suggested fee, then we're going to give people the option to pay that $5. We do have a workflow that we've created that will allow people, once they register, once they're emailed, once they register in confirmation email, they'll get a link that says you can contribute to other families, or you could contribute to this event for other people, and that would direct them to a page that they can actually give. And so it doesn't show up in event registrations, but it actually shows up in their giving. Does that make sense? Y'all good with me on that? So just, you can answer this the best that you can, and we'll continue to have more conversation about that. Is there a budget code attached to this form to let finance know? Right now, there is not. We need to get the budget codes for these. Actually, I think that there is. Hold on one second. Maybe. Let me keep going, and I'll be able to answer that question, which I think is this one, the funds. No. Right now, we only have one fund, or at least I only have one fund in event registration that I can see. If there were other funds, I believe that's where what you're asking. Let me go back to the question because I couldn't see it for Cindy. Okay, so is there a budget code attached to the form to the finance to know which funds are coded? I believe that that's going to be the drop-down list here, Cindy. We can talk about that offline, but I believe Tina is working on getting that curated for us so that you would have this. I'm going to choose this one right now, but I believe that's where the funds would be that people would be able to look at. Does that make sense, Cindy? If so, just chat yes, or we can talk offline about that. Is there a mandatory cost for someone to participate in the event? If so, how much? There's not a mandatory cost. I'm going to leave that. And then what is the minimal initial payment? I'm not going to add a payment there. Do you want to prohibit registrants from having to pay to register? I'm going to say yes, because I said above here that this was a, did I say that up here? I think I did it in another example. I'll just say no for right now. On what date and time will registration begin? If this is today, I'm going to say as a best practice for y'all, always do the day yesterday. Always do that day, because then it'll be ready right then. Okay. I mean, you could do, right now and put the time, 2 p.m., but that's a lot of work. So I just choose the day yesterday. It's easier. And then on what date and time will registration end? So let's say that this event registration is going to be on the 31st. I would probably do this for the 3rd, just in case I want to add some other people to the registration later, or you just don't want it, you still want it to be online. Because the minute that you put the date and time, you will not be able to register people anymore. Okay, so if your event is on let's say your event is on the 31st, then and your event is in the afternoon, you would really want to make sure that you do this at 9 p.m. Does that make sense? And then that way it'll stop at 9 p.m. So I just think sometimes a little bit easier to just do a couple days over, just to give you some fluff room to be careful. All right, please enter any additional text which should be added to the confirmation email, which is sent immediately after the registration is complete. This will be copied and pasted and will accompany information about any payments made. You do not have to get like super caring and customer service oriented. The email is already going to do all that stuff for you. But if you wanted to say, hey, don't forget to bring your white shirt, or something that is really, really specific, you can add it here. If not, the confirmation email pulls all the things. They won't need to know where they're going to be, what time it is. The registration pulls all of that stuff in that information for them. Please enter any additional text which should be added to the reminder email. Same kind of thing. It's going to do the same type of thing. But if you have like waivers that people need to sign, that you need to include, hey, don't forget about this thing that you need to fill out, just let us know so that we can make sure that we put that in the reminder email. When should the reminder email be sent? If this is happening on May 31st, I mean, I like to get an email a week before, but you can do whatever your campus wants to do. I like people to get my emails at 6 a.m. That seems right. Just kidding. Do you need a group made for this event to take attendance? If you wanted to take attendance for this gathering, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you would necessarily need to, but what this will do is it will make a group for you, and we will go place that group in the correct area under the house or the team, wherever that needs to actually be. Okay, so that's important. And then if you choose yes, what is the group meeting schedule? So I'm going to say no, I don't need a group, but this would help us to create attendance reminders for you so that you can go check attendance for that time period. Okay. And then is there anything else that we need to know? Limit the registration number, multiple cost changes, just anything specific that you could have. Okay. So any questions about that form? Like I said, I've got a video that I'm going to give you guys at the end of this, where I do a men's roundtable form with lots and lots of questions that is super kind of complex. And I didn't want to get super complex here right now, but you can watch that after this is over, and that'll help you kind of see this whole process again from a user. So if I hit submit, I'm not going to hit submit because I do have an email over here ready. So I had an email earlier that I got as a ROC admin or whoever is managing this going forward once we go live. But the minute that is submitted, the ROC admin team or whoever's in charge of making this is going to get an email that looks just like this. And they would click on this email, they would begin to work out the second page. So this is all of the request entry. This is actually a form request. So this actually lives, just so that you guys know, if we go to your main page and you scroll down a little bit for my workflows, you're going to have something under your requested that looks just like this. It's assigned to me because I'm actually the worker that's going to work this. But if you requested this, if you were Christian Rivers and you went to your requested button, you'll see it right here. So you'll be able to always look at it and go back to it if you're like, oh, I just submitted this thing, and so forth. The video that I mentioned about the MRT, the 3 videos, I'm going to give those to you after this. Katie was asking about the 3 videos that I made. I'll give those to you after this meeting is over and send those to you so you can have them. I really don't want to give them to anybody else in our church, just you guys, because y'all are working with this, and it's kind of not super complex, but it's just a lot more video. Okay, so going back to that link, I copied and pasted it. So going back to this section, what we would end up doing is we would end up making this. So we're going to go through the whole process. If we needed a new registration template, let's say you asked a bunch of questions, we would probably on our end, we are probably going to go into the event registration template and go make it. Okay, we're going to have to go make that first. We've got to do a little bit of legwork on that end, and then we would choose it. Now, I went ahead, Allison McCord and I have been kind of working on this a little bit. So we went ahead and made that earlier. And so I'm going to go into my section here for Campus Gathering folder, and I'm going to click on the Campus Gathering template. So that's the one that I'm going to use, because I've kind of done most of this work behind the scenes. I just didn't want to waste a lot of y'all's time. And I'm going to go choose the calendar. So this calendar is real helpful. We're trying to get this a little bit more clean. We do not have a campus gathering calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, let me copy this real quick. This was Anderson, just to validate that. And I'm going to just choose on the Anderson calendar right now for Rock. There's a lot of ones. You can see ones we've made for outreach. We've made ones for Men's Roundtable, for membership. We've made some for Azair. So we've started to create some of these calendars. But just for right now, if you do not see one that you don't have, let us know. But right now, we're just going to choose Anderson. And then, should this group be built? Yes. Where is the parent group? So I'm going to just go make this over in Anderson. For the event registration form for turnaround time, we are probably, I would say the turnaround time would probably be 48 hours. Let's try that right now just to see. If we definitely are going to hear from someone within, 24 hours that we've gotten it and we're looking at it, and we'll be in touch if we have any questions. Okay, so one other question I saw here. Many of the forms in WUFU are for small things where people need a food count. Can Google form be used for the instance of Rock? Absolutely. If you guys want to use a Google form for small things like that, you totally can. You would just want to, when they get added, you would want to go add them to Rock in some way, shape, or form. So it just, maybe we would want to talk a little bit more about that. That might be a conversation we want to have more questions about, just because I wouldn't want you to miss out on having that in Rock and having, it just depends. We can talk more about that, Amy. Okay, communication staff. This is, I'm going to go add Kirby. What this is going to do is Kirby is going to get a link in a minute. Kirby, once we hit done and build this registration, this will be us not having to necessarily fill out the Comm request. This would be the Comm request done right here. Okay, so we're going to do that with Kirby right now going forward until Comm gives us some different direction on that. But this is the way that we're getting it to Kirby so that it can go on the website. Does that make sense? Okay, and then the Slug format. So this is the Slug format that we're using. I just went up here to copy this just so that I could have it. So this is Anderson. I'm going to do AN. I'm just going to paste what I had in here earlier and kind of play around with it. So AN, campus gathering, the ministry, we set, the ministry is group life. The event title is campus gathering. You can't have any spaces on this. And then the month, year, I think we were doing this. This was, let's see, when is this taking place? This is on May. So this is May 2020. So I'll do May 2020. So this slug format is the slug format that Kirby has asked us to give. She can always change it. So if you totally butcher this and don't do it right, she can fix it. Okay. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to go ahead and click done, build registration. And so what has now happened is Christian Rivers just got an email that said that his registration is finished. I'm going to show you what that email looks like in a minute. But the first thing I want to do is create a schedule for that, because I want to, Christian asked to take attendance on this. So let me go to the event schedules. I'll use that one. You won't have to worry about this. I'm just going to go do this for Christian real quick. And we'll do 6 p.m. And then I'm just going to do an hour. If it was a recurring thing, like let's say this was a special, 6-week thing that you were doing, this is how we would change that for you. But it's just a one-time event. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK, and I'm going to hit save. And what that will do now is give you, as the owner of that group, an attendance reminder and the ability to take attendance on that date. Does that make sense? Are y'all good with that? So going back to my email, I'm going to go, I've got up here something at the top. Let me come see if I've got it. Okay, so here is the email that Christian would have gotten. Okay, so this is going to be anytime that you fill out this event registration form, you're going to get this type of email. Okay, so the email has the registration link. So this is going to be the actual link that you saw a minute ago that we just registered for. This is going to be the link that you can use. So if you just want to have that handy, you can. Now, knowing that Kirby's going to put that on the website. The next one is the internal event registration. So if you click on this link, this is going to be the way that you manage that instance of your template. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is always come over here and click to follow that. That'll be really helpful for you, so you don't have to go to templates and go find it and go, make sure all that stuff is clean. I mean, just keep that there, because it'll now show up on your dashboard. Hopefully you guys understand how the click to follow works. The third link you're going to get is your group. So this is the group. This is where this lives, and all of your people are going to go in here. I'm not sure Campus Gathering is going to live under membership groups, but I put it there for right now because I didn't have enough time to create another section. But that's where that lives. If you wanted to see it, I would click to follow that as well. So as long as you're working on an instance and you're working on a group, I would just click to follow those so that they stay on your dashboard. And then if you needed to come back and look at the work that you did before, this link will I can see it. I don't think you can see it, but it just gives the full information of everything that was ever curated. Okay, so that is how you would use this. And then what we would end up doing is when we get one of these event registrations, especially for like a campus gathering like this, the first thing that we're going to do as a team is we're going to evaluate how this form helps every other campus. Okay. And so if it helps every other campus, we're probably going to create that as the main template. And if it is a main template that we feel like you guys, like it's not a one shoot off, or it's something that you guys could just go ahead and use, then what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up adding it to the event wizards. Okay. So let me pause for a minute and just recalibrate for what we just did. At Christian Rivers, who is the majority of what most staff are, this is what he's going to have access to. Most of our staff, all of our staff, they've got the templates, they got the registration form, and they've got the event calendar. Okay, that's their security. You guys, as admins and Rock event admins, you have another layer of security, and what you have the ability to see is the event wizards. That is another, you only have access to this. No one else has access to this. So once we have a template like this campus gathering that we feel like is, hey, this is a template. You don't need to fill out the event registration form anymore. You can just have at it and you can just go through the process of creating that in the future. Then you would come to the wizards. So this, I think it's a specialized event. It's not something that we've created a special event wizard for. You can see we've got one for children's, we've got one for community groups, membership. Mosaic has an event. They do a lot of different events. So going to specialized events, what I have done is I have now added that template to this section here so that you could do it without having to fill out the event registration. You just work through this process. I think most of you guys have done this. If you haven't, we can get you a video or I can meet with you one-on-one and we can talk about that. But you would just now choose the template and you would just work through the process, each of these steps. And it is now in, you just do the same thing that you just did. But because we now already have the template made and the questions already made, it's just a little bit easier for you guys to work through this process. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's a lot of information. I think that took us 35 minutes. So I'm gonna just stop for a minute and just ask what kind of questions people have. What is confusing about that? What can I do to help you understand some of that? If you have questions.
Chris, I have a question real quick.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Lori.
This might be a dumb question and maybe I missed something like right at the very beginning, but as far as all that information that we put in and then that goes to somebody on the rock team and it gets, I guess, approved and then y'all actually write an email with all that information. So we don't even have to write the email. Is that right?
What do you mean email? Which email?
Well, it said, I might have just missed that. All the information that you were putting in, and then at the very bottom, it was saying, put in extra information that you need. Like maybe I need a
confirmation email or a reminder email. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the confirmation email and the reminder email. We won't have to write an email for that event to send out to people?
That's correct. So for the people that just in the beginning of the video that registered for that discovery, I don't remember who all those people were, but they got an email right after that was done saying, hey, thanks for registering. You're registered. So you don't have to worry about making that or sending anything to anybody after they register. But if you wanted something specific that's like super specific that you just wanted in your email, that's where you would have added that in your confirmation email or your reminder email.
And so who like somebody else adds that into that email, right?
Yeah, so if you had created that event registration form for the Pelham campus gathering, like when someone registers for that now, let's say you filled out that registration form or you filled out the event wizard. If Chris Rivers registers for that campus gathering, the minute I do that, I'm going to get an email from you that says, hey, thank you for registering for this. And it's going to come from you because you were the owner of the event. And then a week before, if you chose that date as a reminder, a week before the event is happening, there's going to be this event reminder email that goes out to all those people too. And it's going to come from you as well. It's going to say, hey, don't forget about this event that's coming up. If you have any questions, respond back to me. And it's going to be your email. So they would just reply and they would email you if they needed to respond back to you. So you don't have to do any reminders. I mean, you can certainly do that if you want, but you have one already built in there, and then the confirmation is already built in there as well.
Okay, and then that extra, like, make sure you bring your white t-shirt. How does that get thrown in there?
That would have got in there if you had built out in the registration form. If you had added those in those sections, that would be where we would add that for you. Do you remember that in the event registration, that section, those two sections?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess maybe let me show you real quick so you can see this. This is the event wizard. So let me go ahead and do this with the event wizard too, so that you can actually see it, because I don't want to assume that you guys have seen any other videos. So going back to that idea, let's say now we're going to, we did the original one in the event registration. That's working. Christian is able to go use that for Harrison Bridge, and he's good to go. But now you're like, I need to do a campus gathering. Like I need to do that for Greer, let's say, or Anderson. And so now this template is available because we've told you, hey guys, we created this template. It's now in the template folder. And if you ever need to make it now, you don't have to create an event registration form. You can just come to this event wizard under specialized events and you can make it yourself. Okay. Are you following me still? Okay. So I'm going to choose Anderson. I'm going to put in my number, because we want you to be able to have 795. We want you to be able to put in, you know, if you wanted to put in the office number or whatever, you can do that. So I'm going to click on next. And now I'm going to make the registration. So I'm going to do, you know, Anderson, do Anderson campus gathering. Okay, and we're going to say that this event starts yesterday. We kind of did that earlier. I'm going to say it started at 6 a.m. The registration ends on, it's going to be on the 31st. That's when we're going to do this campus gathering. So I'm going to do like 3 days after, right? That's what I said before. And then the reminder, I'm going to have that done on, let's say, the 24th. And it's going to go out at 6 a.m. Okay. I don't have a maximum attendees. There is no cost. I'm going to put a 0 in the template. I had money involved, but I'm just going to put that as 0. And then the accounts, I'm just using event registration right now because that's the only one I have access to. And then the slug. So you don't necessarily have to put this slug in here, because when you're finished with this, you would actually fill out a Comm request. And you'll share the link that's finished in the Comm request, and Kirby will get that and she can come do this for you. But I'm just going to leave it right now. Okay, so I'm going to click next. I'm going to go create a group. So we'll just put it in the same place that, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Hold on one second. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, okay, so I can't do it with this gathering. Let me just do another example, because I have to fix something that I just didn't do it. Let me go back and use another template. So let's use this Body Matters template. It'll let me keep going. And you can see it change. So this is the public name that's going to show up. You don't have to, like I said, Kirby can change some of that stuff. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this either. Let's see. Okay, good. This is the calendar. So I'm going to come down here and choose Anderson and choose next. The location that this is actually going to be in. So, let's go to, I'm going to say I don't even know if Anderson has an NPR room, but I know we do at Powdersville. So I'll just put the date, 31st. I'm going to say 6. Because this is a recurring event, I'll just go ahead and do weekly just to show you what this looks like. What is this? This is on a Sunday. So let's say this is on Sunday, and we're going to do, I don't know how many classes are in Body Matters. 6. I'll just do 6. Y'all don't know. Okay, that's not all right. And I'm going to hit next. And so what this is doing, it's creating the same thing, that email that I got earlier that was giving me the registration link and the group. It's all of that is going to be made here in a second. So when I click next, those are the links that are available. So if I click on this registration link, this registration instance, this is when I'm going to go click to follow this. Okay. And then you would come copy this link and you would go do a Comm request and give that to Comm. So if you wanted to change the custom email, like if you wanted to add something special, Lori, you could click on this edit right here. And you'll see that there is a additional reminder details and additional confirmation details. So the emails are already going to go out. They're already going to set. But if you like set in your reminder details, don't forget to fill out the application. And if you want to go grab that URL to that application and double click on it and, put a little link here, you could do that. And then that would be in your special email that's already going to go out to them. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions about that? Okay. I had 2 questions. Let me see. Okay. First one, does it matter how events are named? I think it does matter. It does matter. I do think that Kirby does probably have the final say on that. So if we put Anderson Body Matters and it needs to be Body Matters Anderson, I would say maybe we could get more help from Comm on that. They've given us the Slug URL. We are trying to, before we go live, to put this like HTML block on the and what I mean by that is in this, like, I'll just use this one as an example, is that there would be kind of like a button up here that has kind of a naming convention, so to say. So when you got past the template, let me use something that actually has a template. Hold on. So if I use the Body Matters again, and at this section, we're hoping that there's going to be some sort of block here that looked really similar to the one on the event registration form that says, here's the Slug URL format, so that you could have some sort of example to see. But we just haven't built it yet. But I think, at the end of the day, this is going to Comm, this is going to Kirby, and Kirby can actually change it. So if she does have the kind of final say to do that. So if there was a mistake, she would be the second kind of person to be able to see that. So hopefully that answers your question. We can keep working through that, and we are working through that. So are there any other questions?
Chris, I have a question. I know that that email will be sent, or it'll go on the website, and then if somebody registers through the website, then they get the email. But a lot of times we will we'll do a filter in Podio and say visitors since the last 6 months. And then we send an email to them and say, hey, we have a discovery coming up.
Yep.
And then we send them the link. Will that still work the same way, or will there be another way we'll go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we talked a little bit, Katie Mazzell and I talked a little bit about this morning. And if you want to take this first, I was going to talk, Katie, about connections and how we would go add someone to connections in that part. Do you want to try to take that, or would you like me to show it to them?
Can you show it, just because you probably know it a little better?
Yeah, sure. So the video that I sent this morning, I believe it was 9.2 extra. That will talk a lot about this. But if we did have somebody that signed up for an event, so you're in your event, let's go at a real life example here. So let's go to the one that we did earlier, we'll just do this authentic manhood. Okay. So we've got these individuals. Let me wait till this opens up here. Or I'll just go to the one that we did earlier a second ago. So let's go to campus gathering. We'll go this one. Did anybody register for this template? No. Oh yeah, I remember where it was. Hold on. So we'll go to an event like this one that we had everybody register for. Okay. So we've got, Lauren, we've got Kim, we've got Dindy, Katie, we've got a bunch of different people. When you get to registrants, Jeanette, you're going to notice, okay, this person right here, Kim, she is a candidate for discovery. That's how you're going to kind of see that. You can this is a candidate for discovery. So what you would end up doing is you go to Kim's record, go to hers. We'll just use her as an example. And we see a little bit of information about her. Her house, of course, is not going to be lit up because she's not going to be in biblical community. And you're going to be like, man, this is a perfect candidate for discovery. So what you would end up doing is you would come to this plug and you would come to membership processes, and you would if this was you, Jeanette, we want to make sure that this was Powdersville because it might be overwhelming to see all campuses. So just go to Powdersville. You might have just your request. You'd see that there's nothing in here that belongs to you. But click on Discovery, and what you would want to do is you would want to come add them here first. So I'm going to go Kim. Kim's the requester because she's not requesting this, but you're just keeping her here as kind of like a spreadsheet to keep track of the people that you're inviting to Discovery. It's kind of like the sales funnel. Let's use it as that way. Okay. So I'm going to just put Kim is a perfect, candidate for Discovery. And then I'm going to hit, I'm going to give it to Dindy because I want Dindy to work it. But Jeanette, this would probably be you if it was Powdersville. We'll just change it to Powdersville. And you'll see the connector. It'll be you because right now you guys as campus admins are the default connectors for all things in this connections process. Okay. So I'm going to keep it as active. I'm going to put my name here, Chris Rivers. And then I'm going to put save. And so, Jeanette, you probably won. You just got an email, whether they had filled out a form for this, whether it came from the hellograce.church form, or it was me adding it as a staff person, or it was you putting in here just because you want to keep track of it. Okay. So I would probably at that point maybe email them and say, hey, here's a link for Discovery. You can go to our website and see what that is. I'd probably come down here and add that. I sent them a link to sign up for Discovery. I'm gonna use my trusty little activities. So I'll probably do, where is email? Emailed, and let's just pretend this was you, and we click add. Okay, so the next thing that I would probably do in this case is I would change the state and the status of this to right now it's no contact. And Jeanette, I'm kind of acting on behalf as you. So let's pretend, you had just got an email to work this. But what I would probably do is I would probably click it to in progress. And maybe since I just worked it today, I'll probably do a future follow-up for next week for the 28th. And that will just remind me on the 28th to come back to this to see if this person, if Kim has registered for Discovery. Are you following me so far?
I am following you, but I guess I'm still a little confused. Just for an example, I mean, this is a little extreme just because we're in the virtual world but our Discovery we're having next Sunday. They had me search, like Evan and Joey had me search for all the visitors we've had since last January.
Okay.
So I did a filter from January till now, and we came up with a list. There was 100 people.
Okay.
So I sent an email to those 100 people inviting them to this virtual Discovery.
Okay.
So do we have to do that for 100 people?
I think that's probably a little bit different. You might,
I guess that's what I'm saying. So will we still be able to do that and having a link that we can invite them to? Like, I understand, like, just the actual link that lets them register for Discovery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you'd go grab the link. If there's a URL that's ready, you've already got an event link ready. So you could do you could probably maybe create some sort of, the way that you would do that is through a data view, which, first of all, we haven't really introduced data views, but we would probably have a data view for you that would pull all those people that haven't attended Discovery, like you just said, that filter. Okay. And you would go grab the link and go email them. And then what I would probably do in this case is I might tag all those people, right? Okay. And just invite PV. Invite PV Discovery and just leave that till the event is over. And then you might want to look at all the people that actually came to the event itself and then take that tag off so that they don't have that tag anymore. Let's say you have, 90 people, you got 10 people show up, let's say. Mm-hmm. Well, now you've got this tag of 90 people that you could just keep for a while, but I would say that when someone's interested, like Kim was a minute ago, or you know that there's a candidate for that, you want to put them in connections, because connections is going to be your best bet in, you know, you'd work her in connections to see what the process looks like. Because if I'm Evan and I go to Kim's record, so let's go to her record real quick. And I know this is a different scenario, but just so that you can see it, because you asked, I can see that she is like, there is some movement in discovery right now. So it's in process, it's in progress, and so forth. So we can talk more about that. That video I did this morning shows you how to move people in connections from discovery to foundations to group life, just waiting to get into a group. And that's a way that you can help the campus.
Okay, thanks.
What other questions do you guys have? I know this is a lot.
I have a question about the maximum participants. You said you can set that in the first part that you did, but my question is, if we have that change at all, like let's say someone drops out, we can't open the form back up. Is that what you were saying before?
There is the maximum participant is a, you know, you put 50 people. And then there can be a waiting. We can set it so that people can still register, but they're in waiting. They know that they're waiting to get into the event. And then as soon as opportunities open or we change that number, we can communicate to them and let them know that they're in. So that's an option. We have to do it in the template.
Okay.
But yeah, if it's at 25 or 50 and it stops at that cap, and it won't let anybody register past that.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? I know it's a lot. I mean, I have been working on event registrations for 2 weeks. I mean, I'm about to pull my hair out on this, and I hope this is helpful. And I know it's a lot, and we'll make it happen. So I talked to a church not long ago. They launched with Rock, and they did not have a single event template made for their staff. And they had no way to curate those. I mean, it was like, I showed this to them, and they're like, man, we wish we had done this. So I do feel like we are on a good path for this, but we'll keep at it and keep practicing, and hopefully it'll help serve you guys well. Any other questions? I know we're got 1 more minute left, I think. All right, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow up this meeting with 3 different videos. The videos are long. They are like 45 minutes a piece, I want to say. That's the average length. You do not have to watch all of them, but Molly has done a really good job in the description of those videos of creating kind of reference chapters in the videos. So just look at the descriptions. We've tried our best to really create, you know, good language there. So you could, you know, event registration, submit, you know, this part of the question, you know, go to those and watch it. I would encourage you to watch it. If you have any questions and you want to do something personally with me, you want to get on the line and work through some things together, like feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you guys in that way. I know that this is overwhelming. It was overwhelming to me when I first saw it. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know and we'll just keep at it. So thank you guys so much for joining us today, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, guys. See you later. Bye.